Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be presenting you today our paper about making unuse when humans disengage with technology. My name is Alina Krischkowsky, and I'm presenting this paper on behalf of my colleagues Verena, Fuchsberger, and Manfred, Tscheligi, all of us from the University of Salzburg. Researching and designing for technology use and users has been a principal focus within HCI. But also research on technology non-use has cast more and more attention within the field. Previous research has also shown that use and non-use are not two distinct phenomena, but affect each other constantly. In our paper, we discuss what happens in between this space of using technology to not using it anymore, referring to this phenomenon as technology unuse. What makes our perspective unique is that we look at technology unuse from a materials perspective, meaning that we approach activities of unusing technology as an active and embodied engagement with the material world. To explore the material practices involved in unusing technology, we collected examples about advice people provide each other about restricting their use of technology. To reflect on these examples, we applied Theodora Varduli's concept of making use to the context of technology unuse. With our collected examples, we did not inquire into the individual motives, why people stopped using a technology, but instead we were interested in how they did so. We identified four main practices, whereby I will now only highlight one representative example for each of those. The first practice is that people work with distancing and getting technology out of the central realms of perception. For example, people repurpose plastic, wooden, or metal boxes to place their phones inside. Some even personalize these boxes to their needs by drawing their names on them. A second practice is that of turning to less aesthetic design. For example, people report to turn their smartphone to grayscale so that the experience of using it is less pleasing. People also report to intentionally make the interaction with a device or functionality more complicated to unuse it. For example, a hack we found is the hairband technique, where a hairband is wrapped around the phone and acts as a visual and tangible reminder to not use the smartphone mindlessly. Finally, we also identified activities where people report to remove, reduce, or disable certain technologies or functionalities. For example, people mask off the laptop camera with a sticky note to disable the camera function. In order to reveal the diverse human artifact negotiations involved in the identified makings of unuse, we used Theodora Varduli's notion of transformations. For making use, Varduli distinguishes between physical and intentional transformations. She argues that physical transformations intervene with the physical characteristics of an artifact, while intentional transformations alter the meanings that an artifact achieves when humans interact with it. Here, making unuse always involves intentional transitions, as we consider making unuse as a transitional process where people move from initially using a certain technology to not using it anymore, and therefore also change the purpose and goals of the artifact. For physical transformations, Varduli distinguishes between shape transformations, where the physical form of an artifact is manipulated, while for spatial transformations, the artifact's placement in relation to the human body is changed. For making unuse, we also identified shape and spatial transformations. For shape transformations, let us come back to the example of the masked-off camera. People are not changing the form of the artifact per se, but everyday objects are reinterpreted to transform the technology through material negotiations. In addition to Varduli's transformations, we also identified another two transformations for making unuse: aesthetic and interactive transformations. For aesthetic transformations, we refer to transformations where people negotiate aesthetic qualities of the device. These negotiations can be digital, such as with turning the phone to grayscale, or they can be physical, such as drawing on a box to store one's phone. And finally, we also identified interactive transformations, such as turning on the airplane mode on your phone. With our emphasis on the making of unuse, we introduce materiality to the discourse on technology and non-use. In our paper, we also discussed epistemic, ontological, and designerly consequences of this perspective, such as the need for new methodological approaches to empirically study the transformational acts involved in making unuse, or that making unuse may not be designed for, but that design may allow for negotiating various forms of use, including disengagement or non-use. Thank you.